Yo, what's going on, guys? Sean here, checking in for the United View, the match report of the game. Fulham versus Manchester United at Craven Cottage. The game has ended 1-0 to Manchester United. Come on, we take 3 points. We take those. Oh my days, that game took me through the races. It was an up and down of good moments and bad moments, but Bruno Fernandez, our captain, he stepped up. He stepped up when the going got tough, and he buried that goal. 3 points in the bag. What a way to end it. It was one of those games where Manchester United fans, if you're watching like me, we're not going to be sold on the idea that, oh my goodness, everything's going to turn around. But these are the moments where Manchester United can build the momentum, not from a performance perspective, but from a mental perspective. The desire, the willingness to continue to stay in the fight. Bruno Fernandez, we have to talk about it right off the bat. We have to talk about Bruno. You guys know, if you've been following me for a while, I've been critical of Bruno Fernandez, not for his performance. I've always have been backing him. He's been tossed around like a damn salad on that pitch, playing right wing, playing left wing, playing deeper in the back. At one point, he was playing in the back line. He was all over the place. But I've never once questioned his performance because he's always giving his utmost best. I've been criticized very hard for that, and I'm willing to say my bad. I don't mind that, but he's never given up. I've only been critical of his performance as a captain because I've always said I'm not a big fan of people who moan all the time, and Bruno Fernandez's moaning has always been something that I've been very critical of. But today, I saw something different from Bruno. He looked like he was rallying his players around him. He looked like he was being a lot more progressive, a lot more motivational. He looked like he was a leader today in my eyes. He's always been a leader because he always tries to fight like there's no tomorrow. He's always giving it 110%. But today, in the John Shin eyes, in these eyes, he looked to me like a proper leader. And I was like, oh my goodness. This is a game where Bruno Fernandez could really step up and cement that role. And not only did he step up, he freaking closed the shop on everybody with that goal. The way he chopped that ball to his left foot and to slap it in, whichever foot he used, he beat 2 players with one chop. Dribbled it past, and he slapped it in. His goal, it means the world to Manchester United because the performance might not have been so great, but the result, it means the world to the players, to the fans, and especially to Erik ten Hag, who's been under fire, and I'm so glad and relieved that they were able to get 3 points. Bruno Fernandez, phenomenal performance. But for me, my man of the match, I'm going to talk about it a little bit early, has to go to Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire. I've been extremely critical throughout his time at Manchester United. When he was absolutely bossing it under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I was so happy that we finally got a consistent center back that doesn't get injured. But post-injury, post that good form, he's been woeful so many times. How many times have fans like yourself and me been critical of his performances? But Harry Maguire is a player that I always said I want the best for him. And these are the moments that gets me emotional because he's been stuck in. He's kept his head down. There's been moments where he's been saying a couple of things that I was just like, hey, Harry, maybe you shouldn't have said that. But nonetheless, he's been nothing but an utmost professional for Manchester United. And when the going got tough, especially for his team, when all those players were out injured, when Rafael Varane, I don't know what's going on with him, can't seem to get back into the squad straight away, he's been stepping up. He's been class. And today was a man of the match performance from Harry Maguire leading from the back. I was extremely worried when he got banged on his head. I really thought he might have been concussed, and he did look a little bit shaky. But thanks to the officials who cleared him to play, thanks to the physio, I'm glad that he was able to carry on, and hopefully it's nothing too serious. But nonetheless, it was a phenomenal performance. He led by example from the back today. Some of the opposition fans joined me in my live stream, and they were like, oh, you guys always big up Harry Maguire because he does well against small teams. When do you big up players then? You big up players like this when they perform well. Harry Maguire has been phenomenal since he stepped up. When the going got tough, when we needed to rely on our backup players, he's been nothing but class. And I just want to show love to Harry Maguire. He's been great for us, and I hope that form continues. I really hope so. Lisandro Martinez comes back. I hope he also regains that form because prior to his injury, we found out that he never fully recovered. Hopefully, Lisandro Martinez can return and provide competition. Competition breeds excellence, especially in the world of football. Healthy competition. And what's wrong about having a good few players in the squad? If Harry Maguire performs well, if Licha comes back and starts performing well, if Varane figures out what the situation is, starts performing well, then it gives good, positive headaches for Erik ten Hag. Nothing wrong with that. Harry Maguire was class today. In that first half, I really felt really bad for Rasmus Højlund because the ball just would not get to him. We looked like we were in a bit of a cruise control without end product. We were holding possession play very well, but every time Rasmus Højlund looked to be in a bit of space for either a break or the ball to feed, it never came. Bruno Fernandez had a phenomenal game, but the first half, some of those passes were questionable. It just would not connect with Rasmus Højlund. And I feel so bad for this young brother. He came off in that second half and he looked like the world was crashing on him. I feel so bad. He's working so goddamn hard to be available for his team, but the final pass just does not get to him. And I felt so bad for Rasmus. I felt so bad. And in that first half and the second half, if there's one person that I want to be critical of, it has to be Antony. Manchester United fans who truly want the best for their players want the best for players like Antony because we want him to do well. But he has not been good. And his performance these times have been even worse than last season. Everybody, including myself last season, said Antony plays for Erik ten Hag more than anybody else because he puts in a shift. And you can clearly see that maybe the end product from an offensive side of things might not be there, but defensively, he really puts in a shift. But this season, defensive shift or not, he's been so poor. There was a moment in that second half that sealed the deal for me. It might have been Calvin Bassey. I forgot who was on him. He was touch tight. The contact was on his shoulder. It actually might have been on his left shoulder. Either way, it was on his shoulder. And he's holding the ball with his strong strong left foot. And there was, I believe it might have been Aaron Bissaka. Somebody was coming up to be available for the pass. But he half-assed just taps it. And when we lose possession. Those things drive me up the fucking wall. Because if you're young, if you're brought onto one of the toughest leagues in the world in the Premier League, the least you can do is be reliable and keep things simple. How many times have I been saying young players, I prefer players like Facundo Pellistri, which I want to talk about, over players like Garnacho. And I was very wrong about Garnacho last season because he was phenomenal. But I prefer, when people ask me, who do you prefer, Garnacho or Pellistri? I've always said I prefer players like Pellistri because it's a personal preference. I like young players who just keep things simple. Because when you're young and when you come to play in a league as tough as the Premier League, the demands, the physical presence, the speed, the pace, everything about the Premier League. You're going against grown-ass men playing in the toughest league in the world. For these young players, it is not easy to keep up. It is not easy. And people always like, oh, but Mbappe, that is a phenomenon. It's a different situation. Erling Haaland phenomenons. 9 times out of 10, young players are not going to have that meteoric rise. There is one in a few. Very rare. Young players, generally, for me, I want them to keep things simple. Facundo Pellistri did that. Antony can't seem to keep things simple. He always wants to have, he has this over-reliance to want to just cut back and shoot. I talk about this all the time, this hero ball alongside Diogo Dalot. That right-hand side, that balance never works when Diogo Dalot and Antony both play because both of them have this over-reliance of wanting to play hero ball. Diogo Dalot on the left side can play more hero ball because he inverts. Rather than the overlap, he underlaps, comes in with his strong foot and goes for the shot. He must have hit probably like 4, maybe 5, maybe even half volley shots with his right foot. Once in a while that executes, but it just gets to a point where you're like, Brovski, stop playing hero ball. Let's just try and keep things simple. But I'm not mad at Diogo's performance because it was not bad. But with respect to Antony, that moment there really just, I was like, I can't do this anymore. Please hook him off. Please take him off. And Facundo Pellistri, my guy, came on and he showed efficiency. Antony has the fight. He's a warrior. I hear you, Erik ten Hag. But Facundo Pellistri is the silent warrior. He's not the type that looks like a freaking, like an angry chihuahua that barks like crazy. You know what I mean? He keeps things simple. He keeps things reliable for his teammates to understand that there will be an end product from him. And I love that about Facundo Pellistri. He didn't give up in that fight, in that box, in the 18-yard box. He never gave up. And he didn't give up. I'm not just saying he never gave up, like, never give up, never back. He didn't give up, and he showed quality with that. That balance makes everything so good, and that's why I love Facundo Pellistri. I've been raving on about him, and he deserves more game time. He deserves more game time. I'm not going to sit here and say he should start every game because, again, a lot of criticism from me. People talk about how John doesn't like young players. No, I love youth players, but we don't want to put that pressure on him. Give him time, but give him more time. Rather than giving him 10 minutes, give him 15, 20 minutes. Give him more chances. Build that up slowly. Same goes for Kobe Mainu. He's obviously returned, and maybe it might have been due to fitness reasons. I'm not sure. He's been playing in the youth games. He's been looking like a cruise control in the park for him when he's playing in these youth games. He actually looks too good. But give Kobe Mainu chances. Give Facundo Pellistri chances. Give these young players who look like they're about the business and they understand what it means to show end product. Give them time. And again, like I said, it was a good performance and a good way to end it. But by no means am I saying this was a world-class dominating performance from Manchester United. Still lots of work to be done. We need to be more clinical. We need to be more efficient. And we need to service Rasmus Højlund much better. It needs to be better for Manchester United. It does. But today it was phenomenal. And I couldn't be any more happier for Bruno Fernandez. I couldn't be any more happier for Harry Maguire. And I am so glad that Aaron Wan-Bissaka is back. And Andre Onana, class saves here and there. Scott McTominay, the goal disallowed, whatever. It just needs to improve. We can just keep going here. Let's build on this. You know what I mean? My man of the match, I goes to Harry Maguire. I've rambled on too much. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have not yet subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing to the United View by hitting the subscribe button right there. And if you guys enjoyed what you heard from me today, please consider checking me out on my channel and on my Instagram and TikTok and all them good things there. The links will be in the description. That's it from me. Stay healthy, stay happy, and I'll see you in the next one. United!